Hey, we are back for another one. That's right. We've got another episode of Cardboard Conversation. So thank you, everybody, for joining. I'm Pat, joined by these wonderful fellows. Who we got down here tonight?
Matt
Oh, it's Matt.
and Bob.
And
Hey, Bob. And
So,
thank you, everybody, for bearing with us. Just needed a couple extra minutes. The service we use for streaming sometimes gets a little bit janky, so we really do appreciate those extra couple of minutes to get this set up just for you folks.
Yeah, wonderful that they just changed the the coding, and then we can't hear each other. It's like, what? Thanks for
Show up and we're just doing
changing on
minds
us.
at each other.
I wish they
Yeah.
had like a button that made it optional for changes.
Yes. Please do not
Whatever.
use new update. Yeah.
Worked fine for me, but I don't know what issues you guys are having. I came in last minute because I was late.
It wasn't
This
me.
week's been-
It was on.
this
It
week's
was
been
on
rough.
Pat's side.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I can't hear you, and when he hit whatever he hit, it actually kind of blew up stuff on my side. I was like, whoa, what happened there?
And
Interesting.
you know,
That was
that's very Magic the Gathering, isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
one small addition or change and the impact it has is surprisingly, widespread. I don't know if they do a lot of regression testing with the things that they put out nowadays. You know, Niv Mizzet going infinite with Niv Mizzet. I think there are 7 of that freaky dragon nowadays. It's pretty wild to see the combinations we have in cards, and I think that's one of the great things about Foundations. Is how it is a bit more of a limited introductory product. I mean, at least from what I'm seeing. What are your original thoughts on Foundations? And now that we're into release weekend, how are you guys feeling about it?
I didn't even know there was a mana foil version of cards. Do you guys know about this?
Yeah.
Manafoil? What is
Yeah.
this?
So you know how there was like the Phyrexian version where there was like Phyrexian symbols all over the card?
Okay, yeah, I hated those.
Yeah, now it's mana symbols. All of the different mana symbols just scattered throughout the card. It looks
Well,
better than the Phyrexian version, but I still don't love it. But it's
I
like
think-
textured raised foil. It's kind of like the textured foil, not the textured foil, the
Oil slick.
the oil slicked raised ones. It's kind of like that with the symbols, as opposed to it being like embedded into the card. It's kind of raised off the top, slightly, from what I understand.
Well, I mean, beyond that, I'm gonna I'll give it that Foundation seems to have found much more hype with people, though I'm still a bit baffled by that.
I think it's a fucking banger set. I mean,
Yeah, you can kind of see the symbols, just like you were saying, Matt. Yeah, interesting.
Well, once you twist it, the problem I have with the Manafoil, I mean, if you guys want to address that right away, is that at certain angles you can't really see the card.
Yeah, absolutely. I had to watch that cross the different paths of lighting on it just to be able to pick up on it. Very subtle to the point where it's imperceptible almost. I don't know if that's...
No, what I'm saying is at some angles, all you can see is the Manafoiling and not the card. You have no idea what the card is.
Oh, it
Makes
just
you blind to the card. Kind of like that Ursula's return card where you're like, wait, what the shit is this? I can't see the card because it's got stripper dust all over it. Welcome, Coach, and other folks that are out there in the audience, Time Capsule, if you're with us, and anybody else who may not be chiming in at the moment. Thank you. Lots of stuff to cover here tonight. I don't know how much of it we'll actually get to. An interesting week in Magic. There's still more Marvel Secret Lair stuff to cover.
shenanigans,
Foundations
disaster. Yeah.
is kicking butt. I'll give it that.
the play box is 144. They're going up, which is crazy to me.
Well,
the collector
and-
box is 303.
We'll get into that in a little bit here more. I still hold with my initial, not for me. It does appear to be an extremely strong, what we would call a core set. I know they're not calling it a core set, but
Yeah, it's basically
for a strong set, for a core set, I'm going to say it kind of rivals 2021, though I'm still of the opinion that 2021 on its surface was stronger. It didn't have necessarily the hype that this has, But
it also didn't have all the different products either. I think that's one of the big benefits to M21, the last true core set, was that you had your draft booster box back in the good old days and your collector products, and that was it. I liked the slim down SKUs. Nowadays, I mean, we were going over it last week, and it was just insane seeing all of the different items that are being offered. And if this is supposed to be for new players, indoctrinating them into Magic, it feels a little disingenuous because you're really just suckering them in with a bunch of products they probably don't need. Hashtag land station.
Well, I think
a new player would need a land station.
Not really.
Play. Yeah, you can just get those for free from literally anybody.
Not really. Like, literally, they are worthless cards if you're in for more than a week and you're not just sitting in a cabin in remote Alaska. You're probably going to have access to lands. And I'm just going to stick with my initial assessment that it being a 5-year release. People forget that, and they're buying into the hype because people generally see 2 inches in front of their face, and they can't see the next step and the next step. This is going to be in release for 5 years, folks.
The collector boxes won't. Well, shouldn't.
But and nobody's going to give a shit, right? This is the problem, right? Is that they're going on this perpetual hype train of like the doubling season behind me. Okay, you're going to get some Japanese anime, some Manifoil version of something, and if they're leaning into the Japanese anime, which clearly they are, they're going to lean into it. They're going to Watsify it, just like they did, serialized cards, just like they did full art cards. But it's tapping that gimmick button over and over and over again until they just seem to tap the gimmick button and it doesn't do anything anymore. I think they'll get there with the Universes Beyond. Clearly, they've already gotten there. The first, and let me start, because, maybe it's a perspective I have of over 30 years with the product. When the first foils came out, man, that was Twiddler. Yeah, I do want to cover that as sort of a bonus topic, but not really related here. If anybody, unfortunately, watched that Tyson Jake Paul fight,
it's about as exciting as the Tyson fight.
It was, yeah,
Bro,
that was.
I was actively playing Enshrouded with Time Capsule. Shout out, had a great time. We were playing together for probably 4 or 5 hours all freaking night, literally until this morning. And at one point, we were just BSing around talking about, is the fight on? We both opened up Netflix and then both closed it out because it was almost midnight and it hadn't started yet. It was just all the
it kept going down too.
It was just
it was it was about as good as WotC's release of Marvel Secret Lair. It was terrible. Refreshing, switching different devices. I was watching for the 3 hours, and the first time it went clocking.
Yeah, but at least when I
you
logged
might not
into
have
Netflix,
internet
it went
while
to the
I'm
right
playing other things online.
Yeah.
Check your internet. Check my internet. What the? I don't know if they got.
I kept having to check
DDoS.
my definitely legit Netflix websites. I kept having to see are they down or is it just my internet connection? I'm like, oh no, the actual Netflix is down. I'm like, oh, all right.
Yeah, servers, man. That seems to be part of the issue in our new modern era. Is internet traffic is just now part of the bottlenecking of a lot of things, and we're seeing that. Whether it's streaming entertainment sites or us trying to get in line to buy shit, it's getting harder than ever.
I think it's companies cheaping out. It's been a big year for laying off IT people. I mean, if you haven't been paying attention to financial news out there, 2023 and 2024 have been the largest tech layoffs in history. And, well, it's no surprise to me that you see janky shit happening on WotC's tech site. Netflix can't handle the traffic. It's guess what, folks? When you don't keep a good IT team, things tend to suck. No, you didn't really just derail it. It just sort of brought it up at a different time, and why not approach it? There's not a lot to say. It was a pitiful fight. Spoiler alert. Shut your ears if you don't want to hear it. I really hoped that he was going to beat the shit out of Jake Paul, and that didn't happen. It was a 60-year-old man.
I
So-
think
It
all of
wasn't
us
even
wanted to
close.
see Jake Paul get punched in the face a bunch.
He took a cute.
But-
He took a couple hits, but yeah.
Yeah, but from a 60-year-old Mike Tyson. Like,
Yeah.
so what do you get to brag? Hey, I beat up a 60-year-old man going after a kindergarten next week. Tune in, folks. It's going to be hype. You know, it's like, dude, just get out of here.
It was a bad situation no matter how you look at it. If he would have knocked out Mike Tyson, people would have been like, "Oh, you knocked out an old man." Her. And then if he lost to Mike Tyson, like, "Oh, you got knocked out by an old man." Her. He loses in every situation. It's literally bad in every way. It's stupid. It makes no sense.
Yeah, well, that's part of the reason it was an exhibition fight. It was just for the
No, it wasn't
cameras,
an exhibition fight. It counts on the records.
Well, I mean, the idea of if they're doing it to just clout. I don't think Mike Tyson at this point truly cares about his
What
boxing.
clout does
record.
Jake Paul earn from beating a 60-year-old?
Nah, just money. They've been people have been talking about this.
So
I mean,
whatever.
they got 40 million. Jake Paul got 40 million just for entering the ring, and Mike Tyson got 20. Like they don't even have, like they just had to show up and they got that like insane money.
Okay,
Like of
and
course.
you know what? This is a one-time kind of thing. This won't work anymore in the rest of history for anybody else. Okay,
Tyson was talking about
Nice-
going after
nice
his brother.
gimmick. No,
I mean, I would definitely pay. I would pay to see Arnold Schwarzenegger fist fight RFK.
that
Just
a
saying,
competition?
you know, for $100, that would be great pay-per-view content. I think these exhibitions could
I don't know that
happen.
that's gonna. I don't know that that's gonna happen. But you know, back to coaches chat there. I'm not 100% what you're getting at there. Why do I feel like our opinion on the gimmick aspect changes based on whether or not you like the product? It's the reason I don't like the product isn't that it's not a good set, and it's not that the gimmick isn't intriguing for now. The problem I have with Foundations and the general direction of gimmicky allure, number one, Foundations is in print for 5 years. I don't think people really understand that, and let's talk in 5 years. If you're still tuning in 5 years, Coach, we'll definitely bring this up again. But 5 years to have a product in print is just nobody cares, even after 6 months to a year of a product. Do we even know if Dominaria Remastered is still in print? Even if it is,
dear
nobody
God.
cares.
Yeah.
After 6
Yeah,
months,
I get it.
nobody cared. And that's the problem that you have with this perpetual hype button dopamine hit rather than relying on the core fundamentals that got Magic to where it got it in 20 plus years by 2019, and then they completely shift directions and tried to join the hype train from, you know, funny enough, kicked off by Logan Paul with his Pokemon $200,000 box opening is what really got TCGs during the COVID frame in the public eye, and that made people suddenly look at Magic and go, what about Magic? And then they leaned
Man, I
into
forgot
it.
how cool G.I. Joe was, huh?
Yeah. For those that don't know, go look it up. Pokemon G.I. Joe. But it's just relying on the wrong aspects to me for the health of a long-term game, right? First off, do any of us think that 5 years for a product is going to have a positive effect on the price of that product?
Not in Magic the Gathering circles. I mean, if we were talking about blenders, this would be a
we're
whole
talking
different-
specifically
yeah.
about Magic. When I say
Exactly, and
product, I'm
that's
talking
why
about
it's like-
Magic product.
Yeah, that's why it's so stand out as an odd move. It almost feels like they want to pay less attention to standard by making these long-running sets. That this is a very odd decision to me, and all I can do is kind of sit back and wonder why / how this is going to play out.
So that's number one. Number two, for a beginner product, and we've covered this again and again, like you just mentioned, there's way too many SKUs for a beginner product. Additionally, there's no discount to try to draw people in, hey, buy this product rather than that product, right? In their own competing lineup. Hey, beginner, this is lower priced. It's a lower barrier of entry. Why don't you try it out to see if you like it? But instead, it's like they're trying to appeal to the collectors. They're trying to appeal to the commander market. They're trying to appeal to way too many people with the beginner product. That's not what beginner products really should be targeted towards. So I think that that's a terrible idea. Wow, I don't even know what that means. They're creative, but I'm down for it. I don't know if we have a way
media
to.
portfolio asks how much for Matt's beard.
That's an interesting question. Talk about hype and gimmick. How much?
10,000.
10K.
Well, there you go.
Hey,
There's
at
your
least you got
answer.
a number for it. Here I shave for just the fun and love of it.
Amen. So I still hold to that idea that the 5-year lifespan window is too long. I still feel that the price for the product, again, though it's a solid product, it's almost overpowered for a beginner set.
Yeah, there are some.
I don't think that's even close creative media.
100's too low.
Unfortunately, we're not a bunch of desperate folks on YouTube to get. We're more hobbyist here, and we just love doing YouTube. But I appreciate that. Almost comment of the night there.
I positioned this picture exactly so it looks like I'm wearing the girl's pink hair.
It does look like you've got a beautiful wig on.
We're more like the guys that you would hang out with, you know. I like how it's deal or no deal, but I think that's going to be a bit low. So at any rate, again, all of the fundamental things that we covered prior to release, I still hold to. I think it's doing better than I expected, and the whole collector box thing, I'm
I have a boar brush that I brush my beard with. It keeps it nice and lush.
It takes years. It takes years to get to that
like
length.
5 years
yeah,
it'd have to be a significant number of dollars, maybe 4K. That's my final offer.
Okay.
Yeah, that's gonna be one hell of a super chat.
We're gonna have to label this the beard stream. Maybe do it as a short. Thank you for the short there, creative media. But again, I still hold to the core concepts that I did prior to release, and I still plan on buying 0 of it because I don't really have a need for a beginner product above and beyond the Jumpstart I already have sitting on my shelves, which I feel is an excellent product.
Jumpstart it is easy to get into, but I don't know if I would consider it the same type of product offering as what Foundations was like set to be. The idea to me of Jumpstart is 2 people, 4 packs, 1 game. Let's go. Now, for me, the idea of Foundation is more like we talked about, Core 21. It's your typical gathering of good products over the last year. They go through, they pick out a few reprints here and there, and they put them in. Foundation seemed like it was more of that starter product, but I think that you honestly... Here, hot take. I think Jumpstart is probably better than Foundations. Like, this is a...
But there is a Jumpstart Foundations.
Wait, that's what's even more...
And from what I gathered, it's doing really well.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. The idea of how you play Jumpstart is very fun. This is like a weird set. It's like Core as an entire tentpole release. It just seems so freaking odd.
Let's be honest. Most of this is not the set design itself is not aimed at beginners. The cards that are in it.
I disagree. I think it's quite easy to pick up and learn the cards. Especially like you look at a card like something Vindicator. It's like it has like double strike, vigilance, and trample, I think. They have like all the reminder text on there that tells you what it does. I don't know. When I played the pre-release, nobody had questions. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I'm talking about the cards they picked. Omnipotence, Stumbling Season.
Yeah, they say what they do, and they're very simple to learn. Omniscience. You don't have to pay mana for anything from your hand. It's very simple.
Okay. I'm just saying that it's more complex than something like the cards that you found in Portal, which was one of their original attempts.
There ain't no way they could make a set that boring.
I was just
yes, there is.
Like,
that's the point. It would be too. It's too boring for you as a more advanced player, but it's not designed with the simpler mechanics, with fewer text, with fewer things that go off with themselves and go infinite, and it's not really a set of beginner style cards.
I don't think that they couldn't make a set as watered down, as vanilla as Fallen Empire.
This is Magic Lickius
Um,
3.
Is this Yu-Gi-Oh? Sometimes it feels like it with
Magic
the
the
power creep that we're
Yu-Gi-Ohians.
going through. And, to your point, Yu-Gi-Oh went through an incredible series of power creeps years after years after years. And I think
Yeah.
that that's what we're dealing with in Magic. And even with Foundations, if you were to do what is the most basic entry level of sets in new modern Magic the Gathering era, there is no way they could keep putting out 2/2 vanilla bears. You couldn't do a set like Portal or Fallen Empires nowadays. You have to juice it up. You have to have those token doublers. You have to have those counter doublers. You have to get,
but not for a beginner. Not for a beginner that's just learning the mechanics.
A beginner at this point can just buy a bunch of Fallen Empires. The stuff's almost as cheap as it is to get into like Outlaws of Thunder Junction.
Again, it's a product that they say is for the beginner, and it's, again, like I said, it's trying to cover the full spread. And I think that that's not, when you don't focus, when you have the Swiss Army knife, they generally suck in general for whatever tool it is. You're grateful to have every tool.
Full sealed box of Fallen Empires for $420. That must be
right. That's that. Joke. I mean, and you guys are entitled to your opinion, and you in the audience as well. I'm just stating how I see the product. It doesn't hold interest for me. First off, I don't really want a product that's going to be in print for 5 years. I'll just buy it in 5 years from now when it's totally discounted, and I play it 5 years from now.
Which is
Number two, it's just reprint equity going out the door yet again. I don't really want the hype of mana foils or the next oil slick foil or whatever, because it's hype today, gone tomorrow.
Yeah.
The Japanese art, this is now how many times we've seen it, as like almost in the last year.
Yeah, Jesus. We're running almost to double digits on this. That is definitely a drying well.
I wish they did it every time. It's so good. I love it.
Okay, and eventually when you keep hitting that same dopamine button, it makes people numb to the effect. And that's what I see in this set. There is nothing for me in the set specifically. Not that it will goad me into buying any of it. I'm not a beginner, so it's not focused at me. There are way too many product SKUs that make it difficult to put on shelves in my house. It is going to be in print for 5 years, so if I want it then, I'll buy it then. I bet they don't keep in print the one that has the Phyrexian counters, and yes, I still have those in the mail. Supposed to get them. I think I was supposed to get them today. Anyways, it doesn't matter. That again, this is an emotional response I see from people, right? The right now, give it to me right now, dopamine hit, without looking at the product long run. Or is it? I'll give the same advice. If it's something you don't mind holding on to that goes to zero, then buy it.
Yeah.
Right? Don't buy something that you get stuck with.
Yeah, that was funny enough that one of my complications with the Marvel Secret Lair was the exact opposite. Is I couldn't get the thing I paid for, the thing I wanted to have on my shelf.
I got mine. Bob got his.
But there's been a lot of
the picture, the members only picture.
No, I don't even know how to do it.
I didn't put that.
We can talk about that in the after show. So we have an idea for members only, so we can talk about that more in the after show.
I'll do it while we're talking right now if you want.
But
it takes 2 minutes.
With Marvel, good point, Pat. That's going to be one of our other topics tonight that we definitely wanted to get into. I don't know if you guys been watching some of the other channels, and I'm grateful for other channels exposing me to things that I'm not personally aware of. Have you guys seen that you're not the only one, Pat, that had shipping issues?
Yes, I have noticed a lot of folks talking about exactly that things are not getting to the correct destination. I gotta say, shout out to Wizards of the Coast. This was one of the easiest contacts and ticketing systems I've ever worked with. You click on contact us. They say, did you go through all the help topics? I made sure to search for my help topic, sent in a ticket. Less than an hour, I already had a response and a resolution planned. So even though there was definitely a problem, I don't think it was on the Wizard side. I live in a very rural part of Vermont, and my United States Postal Service here sucks. It is well known. I can see them from my house, but they won't deliver mail in my town. So like it's always been a separate issue, but I've definitely been hearing the calls from other people saying that there have been problems.
Well, beyond just the delivery problems to the wrong addresses. From what I've seen, a lot of damaged cards. Now, I don't know if that's Scale Fast. They're the ones that actually, for those of you that aren't aware, Scale Fast handles, I don't know to what degree, maybe all of their delivery for secret lairs, but Scale Fast is not a Wizards company. They're just partnering with Wizards to handle their delivery of the product. And from what I understand, many of them are arriving extremely damaged. Some of them are opening the secret lair and getting different surprises inside. From what I've heard, some of it has been multiple of the super secret card. Some of them are completely empty envelopes, like not been opened, just they open it, surprise, nothing in here.
Nothing was put inside of it. Jesus.
To shredded cards, to damaged packages. And from what I've heard, WotC is telling them, sorry, you have to prove that it was the delivery that caused the problem.
Right. Well, and that's again, you know, as a YouTube content creator, luckily enough, that's something that is now more standard than ever for me, is recording openings. If I were to open any of these, I would definitely want to have a, you know, camera set up for doing it. But I think this is going to stay a sealed product for me if I ever freaking get it.
Yeah, I only bought one of each, so it's not like I have like duplicates to open, and I'm just going to keep them sealed.
So
Maybe
I mean,
I purchase one of each like to open, but I don't even really want real cards. I'll just get proxies of them.
It like I said, it sounds like they had a really controversial product and release for product sale and release delivery. Sounds like at least you got good customer service. I've heard otherwise, so we'll keep our ear to the ground on that. I'll keep watching and talking to other content creators. But it seems like a very mixed bag. I was lucky personally. Mine all came in. I don't open them yet, at least. So hopefully I don't have any empty packages surprises once I actually open them. I don't know how many and what I'll exactly open. It'll be there when I decide to build a deck or need a card out of one of those. However,
yeah, mine all showed up without an issue.
Like I'll have to see what happens with like what's in those things and how common that is. Or even if it's just people
if you
talking
open
shit.
that Iron Man secret lair and it's full of G.I. Joe, I'm gonna flip the fuck out. Like that's
It's gonna have a bunch of Yu-Gi-Oh in it.
Oh, son of a! I don't even have.
No, it'll have MetaZoo in it.
Yeah, right.
Even worse. But so again, Marvel continuing to deliver content for content creators, unfortunately. So we'll follow that the best that we can. Hopefully, everybody's gotten theirs by now. Sorry, Pat.
Yeah. Funnily enough, I got both of my secret lairs at the same time, which was kind of weird. They came in different boxes, but they arrived at the same time. The ones that I ordered like multiple days later, those misprinted comas.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
So
that's interesting.
Besides
separate
that,
boxes but same delivery date.
Yeah.
How about the precipitous drop in value? That also was pretty shocking to me. Is just how it was shocking how rapidly it ramped up for Marvel. And then how hard it fell. They're almost at the price for many of these of what the secret lair. Right?
I hope you guys canceled your Arcane Signet orders.
Nah, mine was already in the mail by the time those dropped, and I'm fine with it. I only paid like $34 each.
Okay. I was saying he paid like $90. I was worried. I'm
for
hoping you.
Two of them. Yeah, for two.
I mean, there's $27 now. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and we'll see. I'll bet those go up over time. Like, I bet all of this goes up over time because, and I was thinking about that today. It's not going to change the fact that it was an extremely limited secret lair that sold out functionally if the site had worked in minutes, no matter what the quantity is. So that means that there's a genuine demand out there for these cards, but we're seeing the arbitrage of here's how much is available to how much people want it, and so that price is shrinking. But once that well dries up, and we're going to have more Magic players joining, we're going to have people that aren't even aware, and believe me, out of the 40 million Magic players, if there really are, There's a lot that really aren't even aware truly of the secret layer, or don't pay attention to it, or don't realize that, oh man, I really do want that now. In the future, these will go up. Keep them sealed. Keep them safe.
I mean, it looks like some are starting to rebound, but like you had said, there was an incredible drop off to get there first. I mean, that normal 50% drop plus on some of these, which, in all honesty, for the consumer is probably a good thing. You know, the entry level was way too high. There wasn't enough actual productivity in the website to host everyone that wanted to get it, and to see these at just above the retail price is kind of good for people. You know,
For
yeah,
right
it
now.
sucks that they couldn't get the Iron Man secret layer at $39.99, but to be able to get it at $59.99, if you really want it that much, cool. And congratulations on it not staying at $120. Like it was that shutout that was not quite palatable. And if you were a Timmy Flipper and you made your money back real fast, big ups to you. You know, I think that as much as there are bad feels on this, it was probably a pretty decent execution of the secret layer.
I don't mind the Timmy Flippers. What I mind are the botters, because that's what locked people out, right? Like, if you want to, if you're able to get 1 or 2 or 3 copies of these things and turn and flip them, great, cool. Like you said, good ups to you. Now, if you're botting and getting hundreds of copies of these things, preventing other people who took the day off, you know, shame on you. You know, we don't need that type of vampirism in the collector community. It's not healthy, and it causes genuine fluctuations. And cool if you got your money out, good for you. You know, but live by the sword, die by the sword. And it causes people who genuinely want something, like when I think it was Michael Superbacker. Isn't he the one that got so upset about the Monty Python secret lair? How's that thing
I
doing?
think so.
And it that's what I talk about. You know, the people that are genuinely into Magic, not just see it as a quick hit cash flip.
It's about $70.
You know, it hurts those people, and then we end up losing members of the community because of the feel bads. So I think that the botting, they really need to get a grip on that at WotC. Other companies are able to, and they need to invest a little bit in their IT structure to combat that.
Yeah, like we mentioned when we were talking about it last week, there was no CAPTCHA, no kind of
Nothing.
like, are you a bot? No little checkbox, nothing. It literally just was like, you have at it. If you're a bot, you're in. No chance
most
at all.
payment clears. That's one of the things that continually surprises me about a lot of these e-hosted sites is the idea that they might not care all that much if a bot comes in and buys 500 orders. Realistically, they're probably just seeing it as sales. And the secondary market side is going to like be in a hustle and a bustle. It's going to be negative, but free press in a way. I don't know.
But
if
the problem is you lose. The problem is you lose your ultimate audience, the ones that ultimately drive the price long term, and that's the problem we've seen. The shift in WotC for the last 5 years is that they're into the same dopamine hit. Give me the money now. Give me the money now. We don't damn the consequences down the road, and I think that that's going to be problematic for something. This is not a product to sell as much as you can, as fast as you can. This is intended to be a product to hook people into the community, into the hobby, and keep them long term. And they're, in my opinion, doing almost everything they can to make sure that it's a short attention span, short term audience.
Yeah, it's all about the next big thing. That's the again one of the standout, surprising announcements with Foundation is that they want this to be around for 5 years. I understand that it's going to be like the new foundation of the standard that they're building, but I also find it funny that they're trying to print this product for 5 years. The play booster boxes aspect of it for 5 years, and I just don't think that people are going to care about it in like 5 months. Once we get to the other side of the Aether Drift, nobody's going to give a shit about Foundations.
Well, certainly not by the time we hit Final Fantasy. They'll say, "What's
exactly?" Yeah, once we're looking at Final Fantasy pre-ordering, pre-sales and all the preview cards, all the pre-words, and then you're looking down the web shooters of the Marvel tentpole release later in this year, like it's going to be absolutely forgettable. Anything that was in Foundations, except for like 3 really broken cards that Matt has definitely made a short. So if you haven't subscribed, you can get those free shorts daily delivered to your inbox.
Well, we already know what they do with broken cards.
But what you guys are saying is every set in Magic. Every set is forgettable 5 months later. You're always chasing the dragon. You're chasing the new set. Every set's forgettable.
That's why they don't.
That's what they've done. That's what they've built recently. That was not how they got here.
To me, the thing about it is
true for historical sets.
The idea that Wizards of the Coast seems to think that the products from Foundations, at least some of the cards in it, are going to be worthwhile enough that people will want to pay attention to it with however they are going to steward Standard going forward, which I just want to be very clear. I don't think they have the depth or breadth of ability to do so. They've been screwing up Standard for a long time. It's been one of the most looked over formats, I think. If it weren't for it only including the newest cards in Magic the Gathering, I don't think people would care.
Well, and I think that they screw themselves by, and I've said it before, with Standard, it's a real easy fix. Shut down Arena. Nobody wants to pay to play when they can play for free and scratch that itch.
They've made way too much money to close down Arena.
I don't think so. I think they're actually losing money.
Like
they're borrowing from Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah, but it's similar to the metaverse, is that they'll lose money all the way till they start making bank. I think that we'll see that like critical mass of people in the next like 18 months or so, and Arena will start being very profitable. I think
what I'm saying is it steals from why go to the LGS? It breaks their model, right? I think they need to, if you want to have Arena, fine. Make it your alchemy only format. Get rid of all the other formats. If you want to play Standard, you have to go to the LGS.
I don't think that Wizards really pays much attention anymore to their relationship with local gaming stores. And
right, which is a problem.
Is it, though? Realistically, I wonder, is it? In a very critical way? Why? Why do you say that with the way?
Because you need the LGSs to have a place to play.
But Wizards,
if you switch to Arena only, what's that?
I don't need an LGS. Pat doesn't need an LGS. They have friends.
You do.
When's the last time you went to an LGS and actually played Magic outside of like a pre-release?
First off, I don't do pre-releases. Second, I don't play Standard. I don't play Modern, which you can't play on Arena at all. And I think it would be the death of Modern cards and really kill the value of cards if you did that. Here's the problem you have: is that you need the Arena. You need not the Arena. You need the LGS for new players to have a place to congregate and get into Magic. Right? If you go to Arena, it is a free-to-play format. They've already stated that so many people who they're getting all the money from. It's like California taxes. They're getting 99% of the money on Arena from less than 5% of the players. Most people on Arena don't pay a penny for it or pay very little. Yeah. So they're not buying the real cards. Yeah. So you're not building the collector audience that builds the whole gravy train of what physical cards are for. It would be a transitional step to go from physical cards that they don't want to sell anymore, so bye-bye collectorism, to being a Hearthstone, which would be the death of Magic. So, again, it's like they're trying to have their cake and eat it, too, and I think it's horrible and bad for the long-term health of the game.
I think that you make a good point on how would people get introduced and be able to experience Magic and Gathering to play Magic without local gaming stores. To rebut, though, when I came and visited, great time. The only thing that I bought at local gaming stores was sleeves, which honestly, we could have gone to a cool Walmart and it would have served the exact like utility that I got from going to local gaming stores. because of my purchasing. Specifically, we didn't go to play. There were incredible spaces for people to do Warhammer 40K, to have entire armies. You could rent out rooms to have like a D&D space. So there is definitely a service that they offer. But as far as an entrenched Magic the Gathering player, I no longer really need my LGS. Similar to Bob, I don't do pre-release anymore. I'm not going down on, day one day minus 14 from street release, so I can have access to
you
those
hit
cards.
the nail on the head, though. You said an entrenched Magic player.
Exactly.
LGSs are there to keep the lifeblood coming in. Because
Well, so that's
all right. Let me ask you guys: what does WotC even proclaim is the average lifespan of a Magic the Gathering hobbyist?
3 years.
So, without bringing in new people in 3 years from now, the ones that are dipping out or just starting now, what's going to replace them if they keep getting rid of the front door?
But even to your point, though, is the new Magic the Gathering players are not going to spend anywhere near what the entrenched Magic the Gathering players are going to.
Not now.
Right. And going forward, it'll probably, the people that pass that 3-year barrier and continue interacting with the products, they will still be probably by and large the big spenders of it. So as much as they have that like churn on new players coming in and going out, it's the people that stick around, the folks like
I
us.
agree, and it always has been that way. What I'm saying is they have really damaged the front door, the entrance, the portal into it, the exposure to it. And if the exposure to it is a free format like Arena, there's no incentive to go in and buy actual cards. And then when they're out of the hobby, fine, they don't care. They just shut it off.
Well, that's going to be the thing, is they're going to slowly turn those Dobbs and Niles on the Arena balance, where you'll get to the paywall pretty much. And I think it'll be quicker, that there will be less ability. Hey, what up, Jerry? I think that the paywall will probably arrive a lot earlier. And that's
a weird heart.
Is it
like a lopsided. I got like a broken egg. Anyways, whatever.
The point where you're going to want to keep playing and the point where you're going to run out of resources is just going to occur quicker, and it's going to entice people into those 99 cents and I can have a couple more games. The model is going to evolve to get people to pay smaller amounts more often, and it's not just going to be I need a couple wild cards or open a few random packs. There's going to be like a new mechanic on how many games you can play and stuff like that.
And again, it's robbing that money from the collector aspect to give it to a digital aspect. So that when they actually are 10 years down the road, they don't have a bunch of cards sitting in binders that draws them back into the game. It's also breaking the revolving door. Because somebody that has a collection that just decided to put it down for a while because they had a baby, shifted jobs, whatnot, it's much easier to walk away from an Arena portfolio than the physical cards in their home.
Oh yeah, 100%. The guy that spent $3,000 on FIFA cards or whatever, the digital, loot boxing, versus the people that invested in regular boxes. Yeah, I definitely understand that aspect. I mean, as video game players, Matt and I have probably spent way too much money digitally on an intangible product, whereas in Magic the Gathering, you can go post-draft, don't even pay to play, and people are just going to give you cards. Like, you can get free stuff all the time. So it's definitely a big shift. Yeah.
I just see it as a long-term detriment to the idea and concept of Magic with a lot of what they're doing. Again, with the dopamine hits, with the actual physical cards, I think that shifting to Arena, just a digital-only, non-tradable, non-interactable format that's very sterile and doesn't have anything to do with the whole gathering with other people. There's no social aspect to it. I think that it competes with LGSs. I think it competes with the collectability of the cards. I think it's cutting off critical aspects of what got the game to where it is.
I don't. Okay, I think the people that are actually playing Arena aren't going to be the ones that are collecting cards. They're not the same people.
Ooh,
I don't know many people that do both, except for content creators. Like, nobody really plays Arena and then goes, I'm satisfied. Like having the physical cards
if
for
that's
those people,
the portal, it doesn't have that collectability aspect to it, right? So somebody that could have been a collector got hooked into it. Their money's in Arena. They don't want to now start buying just a few cards because they've already got X amount in their Arena collection. So that's
if
problematic.
anything, I think the opposite. I think that they start to play Arena and they're like, this game's pretty good. I like this game. I'm going to collect it. I'm sure there's that.
That's
I'm
what
sure
they're
both,
saying, but I don't
I'm sure
believe that there's
both ways.
the logical jump.
I think that it is interesting you bring that up. I haven't thought too much about that idea, Matt, that there might be two totally different classes of players, I guess is the best way to put it. Not even class, but very distinct types of players. I only play on my phone. I get 30-minute lunch, I eat my sandwich, and I get a couple of games in on my iPhone, versus the people that have a dedication to playing the game. They have that big deck box full of all their decks, and they love going over to their friend's house and, hey, roll a dice, I'm going to play that one today. I think there is definitely a huge disparity in how people interact with it in the digital versus physical atmospheres, and I think that wedge is probably going to get more and more divisive. It's going to be a heck of a lot easier to keep up with things on Arena. I mean, my LGS might not have the newest products. They might not have the things that I want or the way that I can play. At any moment, I can get an Arena game endlessly, whereas I cannot get that in my town. You can't even get McDonald's after like 8 p.m. around here.
Okay.
Wow.
So we'll just agree to disagree that I feel that Arena interferes with the LGS and the ecosystem as it existed prior to Arena. And the way that I'll sum it up is if there was no porn, there'd either be a lot more prostitutes or a lot more men out there trying to get girls in bars or wherever. But porn scratches that itch. It's not the same, but good enough.
So, speaking of Black Friday and Cyber Monday's upcoming sale, there's definitely a lot that I think Wizards of the Coast, we've seen, and Bob pays a lot more attention to this than I do, but I do listen when he talks about it. The holding of inventory from one fiscal year to the next is something that they want to trim down more and more so. So I personally expect that we're going to see some pretty deep cuts on product offerings. Definitely through Amazon. That's their new go-to. But I think we're going to see some really cheap stuff over the next month or so. Is there anything looking back that you guys missed out on that you want to take an opportunity to get into? I know for me, a box of Outlaw Thunder Junction, Matt, you said you had a lot of fun drafting it, and I'd like to do that at some point.
I can get you a box through Rudy. It's way cheaper.
Hey, and you got to be a smart shopper. And I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of people wait for these big sales is the price of Magic is higher than ever. And being able to get it at, was it 118 shipped? It's definitely not a bad buy.
116 for play boosters. And then there's still, let's see here. Yeah, Duskmourn, Karlov, Outlaws, and Bloomborough are all 116. And then you got Wilds of Eldraine, Lost Caverns, Crimson Vow, and Infinity for 91. Shipped to no tax. It's pretty good. Hard to beat.
Solid. Yeah.
It's another one of those. There's another one of those things where I think LGSs are kind of just dead to me, is because every LGS I go to, their pricing is insane. It's like not even close to online prices, and I understand that they're in my opinion they're taking advantage of the uneducated buyers, because an educated buyer would shop around and actually look for deals. And an uneducated buyer that just wanders into a shop, that the people that Bob were talking about, the new players, they're just getting railed, in my opinion. They're getting we looked at the prices for, what was it, the Dominaria Remastered, which was $80 over what was on the internet, anywhere. I'm that's crazy to me. I don't know. That's the reason why I don't like LGS, and I don't really see a real purpose for them. And I actually have a good friendly relationship with multiple LGS owners. The pricing is just insane. I don't know.
They've definitely got a lot more upkeep than an online outlet.
I understand why their prices are insane. I just don't want to pay those prices. I don't want to support.
I don't need the difference is that WotC decided to change their distribution model, and that caused a disconnect. That now it's Pandora's box, right? It's get the quick hit money fix at long-term damage to your game. And if you can't see that LGS, you say they don't have a purpose.
Yeah.
I disagree.
For
Where are
me.
you going to go to pre-release? Where are you going to go to play if you're somebody who doesn't have an entrenched circle? Is somebody that doesn't know what to buy when you look online, or where to go, or what should I invest in? They're killing basically the nursery. You're fishing in the Chesapeake Bay with giant trawlers. If you don't get that reference from fishing places, when you fish in the hatcheries, you destroy your long-term prospects of bigger fish down the road to feed more people. And that's the problem of getting rid of LGSs, because Amazon and Rudy can't get you together with people to play games. They're not going to hold Friday Night Magics for you to have a social interaction with other people in the game. So they're killing parts of the game. We'll see. We'll see where the long-term activities of WotC, selling through Amazon, doing dumps. Even recently, we thought we were past that, right? There was a recent dump on Amazon. So awesome. Cool.
Well, there's going to be another dump here with Black Friday coming up soon.
Right,
sure.
yeah.
And I bet that they continue, like you said, Pat, they're going to continue. Their inventories aren't done yet.
No,
They still don't have it dialed
get
in.
10% off on Outlaws of Thunder Junction on Slamazon right now.
So
And
again,
Outlaw
I
Banners,
think that
110.
they're turning knobs and dials, and we'll see if they can sustain into the future. I think that they're heading in a direction that seems and screams that they're going to be 100% reliant on gimmicks, which is evidenced by almost every set now, or every other set is a Universes Beyond. It's got super duper flashy out your bunghole foils.
I did not even know about the monofoiling. Like that.
I didn't either. I had no idea.
I did.
Literally
I saw
until less
if you
than
watch
an hour
Cothern
ago.
Cards, who's not here tonight, or at least not speaking up. I'm sorry, not Cothern Cards. What are they? Moonshot ripping shit. My bad.
shit.
Go check him
What
out.
is it? Ripping Shits by Moonshine?
He's actually genuinely
Moonshine
awesome
shit.
guy.
Yeah.
I'm really pissed I didn't get to meet him like you guys did at Gen Con. Going to try the next time we go, probably next year.
He's a lot taller than I thought he was going to be. I don't know why. When you see just his hands,
he's soft spoken, but he's an extremely intelligent guy, and he's awesome for checking out the newest hype stuff. He generally tends to get products before many of the rest of the public does. You get to see it ripped. He talks about the cards. He's very knowledgeable about the sets as they come out and which product has what. So he's been on our show before when he was really teensy tiny. I think he had maybe 2,000 subs by the time he was on our show, or maybe even less. And now he's over 30,000 or something.
Yeah.
He rips them, he ships them. It's Lance.
He's got a whole thing going on. But a great show to check out if you want to stay. It's one of the sources I look to, and I talk to him in Discord about Magic stuff, but it's a great place to keep your finger on the pulse of what's hot and what's current. Same thing with Twid. He does the same thing on a little different scale. A lot of fun, a lot of community activity there. So there are communities for that, even if it's virtual. But great places to check out newer hype stuff that you're going to see the different parts of the product and where it's at in the different SKUs. Better than on this show. We tend to cover a much broader group of topics so that we don't really hyper focus on any one aspect of gaming. But
for sure. That's the same
right?
reason I don't play Terraria every freaking day, is because I still want to love the game. And that's why I don't, every day think about Magic the Gathering. Every day I think about it, mostly because the shit's all over my house and I'm just different thing. But there's definitely something to be said about burnout, and it can definitely get old just ripping cards. As fun as it seems, it's cool sometimes just to tune in and
old to you. There are people like Pack Opening Addict who seem to love to do it, and that's fine.
Yeah,
we understand that's part of the
hobby. It's more of a job at this point.
I don't think Pack Opening does.
Tom loses money. Even if he is finally solvent on it, it was never that for him. We've talked a bunch of times behind the scenes when we play Spell Table and shit. one of the things that I love about his channel is specifically that part of it is that he really just wants to open up a bunch of cards. It's not.
yeah, it's free. It's free. Like
Yeah.
it's like
Well, not
it's
for
like
him.
being
He's
able to
saying
like what
pack
It is
opening has
free.
to pay.
Yeah.
It's out. No, it isn't.
Yeah, for him,
pack
he,
opening
he
loses
lost
money.
money for every single episode for like up until maybe now. He might still be losing money on everything he opens for people.
Oh, I thought we were talking about moonshine ripping shots.
Oh no, Lance has got like a
I'll
very.
say there ain't no way he's losing
model.
money. The money he
No,
charges
that's a
is
whole
there ain't
different
no way
ball
he's
game.
losing money.
And the
Well,
same thing
he's
with Twid.
also, sponsored by a store. That's why he had the name change. Is Moonshot is the store, the brick and mortar that he's working with. So that's one of the reasons he's able to get his products earlier and give two people a pretty competitive price for the most part, which is quite difficult.
I wouldn't say
That's one of the
that.
reasons
I
why.
think the prices are high, but I think the
Well,
price is built into like the shipping and aspect of everything.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why we haven't really delved into it here, is that we really do care for our audience and the community that we're trying to build here, and we don't want to screw people out of their money. We don't want to profit off of our friends. So that's one of the reasons why we don't do stuff like opening packs for people.
Sponsored boxes and all
Yeah,
that crap.
it's difficult to get stuff at a cutthroat rate and then be able to turn it around. And if there was any profit to be made, put that into shipping, and then the customer still gets a deal. It's tough.
I'd rather
Like
profit
Bob was
by
talking about
having.
earlier.
I'd rather profit by having more members, and not even
Right,
just members,
yeah.
but subscribers. But
Yeah.
having YouTube pay your bill rather than you pay the bill for what we
Right.
provide.
I'd like the offering to be us, the community side of it. And that's, shout out again to Time Capsule. I know you're.
Hey, thank you.
Thanks,
Poopa
Faith.
face.
Um,
Fun name.
the idea of having people that enjoy us as content creators, the opinions and aspects that we bring to the conversation, and to be able to hang out and play with one of our members for being able to hang out and play with one of our members for hours on end was a great experience.
You need to clip that.
That's dedication. That's
People want to tune in to watch us hang out and play with our member. Awesome.
but it was I got to play with Time Capsule and Matt and you guys all together when we were doing when we were playing on Valheim, and I just couldn't stick with it. But then I found Enshrouded and how fun it was. I was able to recommend that with somebody that we built up a relationship with here, and then to have a good time playing together. I mean, electronically, the world is getting closer than it ever has been, and really love that aspect of us as content creators.
Yeah,
Dude,
so
reading going back to the arena talk, reading the reviews recently on Steam is incredible. This game is absolute garbage. The pay to win, the absolutely rigged shuffler. This isn't Magic. This is predatory garbage that looks polished, but it absolutely isn't. This is probably the worst digital adaptation of a card game that caters to people dropping thousands. Who the fuck is paying thousands of dollars to play arena?
That's what I'm saying. Is most of the money that they're making on it is on a few people.
Yeah,
And how is it pay to win? You literally get the cards that are like that. You just build the deck. That's like the best card.
No, it's pay to win because
Not pay
in
to
order
win.
to win with the current meta, you have to have all the cards, and the only way you're going to get that is to buy the different.
No,
what are
because
those
you
called?
get random. Whatchamacallit, the
Wild
special card, the wild cards. Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
literally-
and you don't get
cards
them.
mean nothing.
you
You
don't
get whatever
get them-
you want.
You don't get them in nearly enough quantity
That's
to maintain
exactly
with the
it.
meta.
Yeah, they turned down that one dial of drop rate just
Yes,
enough
that's exactly what it
so
is.
that you can get like 2 out of the play set that you need, maybe 3.
Mono
out
Red's
of
been
the-
very similar, and it's only evolved as each set comes out. And you only need a couple new cards. If you want to play Mono Red, you can continue to play Mono Red, free to play. I'm guarantee it. You can do all your dailies very quickly with Mono Red. Mono Red for life. Average turn rate of 2. You just win. It's great.
And that's if you only want to play mono red.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's part of again, when I was semi joking about the FIFA cards, that's part of the new model on how they get people hooked on spending money. And it's easy to spend 99 cents at a time. $1.29 and I can get 2 mythic wild cards. Oh, great! This will finish out one of my decks. Just that little click, click, click shit. It's going to get a lot of people. I think they will end up making quite a large amount of money off of Arena in the long run.
Right,
And
but
Bob, to that point, I do not think that it is healthy for the physical trading card side of it. I do not think that
exactly to that point.
Yeah,
That person has a bucket of money. There's only so much money in it. If they
yeah.
take part of it and put it in Arena, they no longer have it for the physical cards. And when you don't have that, and then Arena shuts down, it changes, it's not something that will be the flagship in the future. Now they have nothing.
Oh my God! Okay.
I don't know that I've ever spent money on Arena. I can't think of a single
Again,
time
to
where
my
I
point,
actually
when you're
spent
saying,
money.
Pat, it's going to be the moneymaker, and Matt's saying there's nothing, and I
He
agree
has
with
it,
Matt.
but-
There's more nothing
yeah.
than there is money.
One of the things I was just
Why
thinking
would you
of, and
spend
it
money on
worried me a
I
lot.
don't get it.
What if there is an Arena 2 that comes out and all of the microtransactions don't cross over? Oh my God! Like all
Why
the
would there
stats-
be an Arena too? If anything, they would just bring Moto to like Arena. Just combine the two.
I wonder if
Right, and what if
how
they don't?
made
What if they
their,
don't mesh? Because
code
if you
base,
bring
if that'll
Moto,
actually work for handling Commander.
if,
I don't
if you
know.
bring Moto, the big difference in Moto is that you can trade cards to other players. There are chats that you can have, so there's some social interaction. It's a completely different aspect of Magic, right? You have collections that they've had for years and years and years. How would you translate that into Arena where you can't interact with players, you can't trade?
Yeah, I don't know why there's no interaction on Arena. I don't understand. I think there'd be a lot of swearing and a lot of like bad words and but like that's just every online game. So like I
You
don't
don't
know
really
if
have
that's
it that rampant in Moto.
what rampant in Moto.
And you can always put profanity filters on.
Well, that's because the chat doesn't even show by default. You have to actually actively open the chat, if I remember correctly.
Okay, but you have chat ability, and at least that's just part of it. The bigger aspect is the no trading aspect.
Yeah,
I don't get that either. It's a trading card game, and you can't even trade. That's weird.
Yeah, that's definitely a big misnomer right there.
So,
yeah,
at any rate,
that would be a phenomenal addition to Arena if we could trade cards back and forth.
Matt, can you handle that? At any rate, I mean, it's only one video game. You were mentioning that you were playing with one of our members on you were playing with a member.
I was playing with one of your members.
and wow, you have more than one. What were you playing again? Because I'm kind of curious about Christmas time coming up is a big time usually for video game releases. And I know, Matt, you've got one that you're working on coming up soon. I don't know exactly when.
December
it's a big
6th, if you're talking about PoE 2.
Yeah. When is that?
December 6th.
I'm assuming that's going to chew up a good portion of your time over the holidays.
We'll see. I'm kind of.
Oh.
It doesn't. I don't know. PoE 2 doesn't look like it's made for me. They claim it's made for new people, and then I don't think it's made for them either. I don't know who it's made for. It's made for people that like Elden Ring, I guess. I don't know. The game looks. They keep talking about how they like have like really cool skills that like interact with one another. Like you like slam the ground and creates like fissures in the ground, and then you use another skill to hit that, and then it pops the fissures. And I'm like, who cares? Who asked? Who wants this? Who wants to play a game where it's all about being a power fantasy of like blowing up the screen with one click? Who wants to do more things to do the same thing that we used to do in their previous game? It's like they're making this game to make it more difficult to do the things that we already do in PoE 1. It's like, but then you have to do more work in PoE 2. I go, why? Like, why? Like, who asked for this?
They're like designing backwards mechanically.
Yeah, they're
Okay.
but what they're doing, from what I understand, is they're making the game that they want to make and not what the players want to make. I don't know who wants this.
Yeah, I hope that it's a good release and that you enjoy it more than you anticipate.
I mean, me too. I just don't. It's going to be very difficult to enjoy it, I think.
And
but we'll
and
see.
if you want to learn about it, because I can guarantee you, I'm not a rush into things kind of person. In case you guys haven't noticed, I'm not all about the current hype. I tend to sit back and evaluate rather than jump on the hype train immediately. So I'm going to wait to see what Matt has to say about the game, and I'm sure he'll cover different aspects of it in the coming months.
Yeah,
More
early
in
access
depth.
is on December 6th. Not everybody can just go play it. You either have to buy a supporter pack, or you have to have spent, I think it's somewhere around $500 over the course of your account in order to get free access.
And Pat, with your Terraria, is that what you were playing?
I've been playing a lot of Enshrouded lately.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really fun, I gotta say. It's voxel based, so you can deform all the terrain, which is a huge part of their building mechanics. It's similar enough to like Ark in your survival base building, except there's a shroud that has come over the land and you can last only a few minutes in it. So it's kind of like an extraction game in that aspect, except the things you're going in and getting is not, fancy new guns or anything. It's armor or new items to build with. Very fun, having a whole lot of time, having a lot of fun in the time I've spent with it, and looking to start doing a playthrough on it, but I just keep getting sucked into the file I made already. Hard to start over, but I did yesterday with Time Capsule. Hey, what up?
What's the point of it? What's the end game? Like in Ark, the end game is like to beat all the bosses,
Welcome back, Time
and then
Capsule.
like you have like a progression. Like what is the end game of Enshrouded? Like what's your goal?
I have not gotten to like the end of it, but there are definitely, you have certain areas, like I said, that are enshrouded, and you go in, you fight like a boss at the end of it, and then you are able to get that cleared up off the map. I'm not sure what happens when you do that forever. I assume that you finish all of them, similar enough to like Ark. It is still in early access, so I think that that's something that they're going to be adding in.
Do the monsters attack ever, or do they just stand there and look at you while they get their ass beat?
No, they definitely attack you.
Because I'm like watching combat, and all they are is just getting railed by a dude with an axe. Like they never attack back.
It's very slow combat. But also the first creatures that you encounter are idiot. Yeah, they're
These
like
guys were they were in some kind of enshrouded area.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's just getting hit stunned or something.
It's similar to like how Assassin's Creed games usually do their level gating. Certain areas are certain levels always. So
sounds a lot like Destiny.
I never played a lot of Destiny.
And I assume you have to like unlock one area to get to the next. Like you can't proceed.
I guess my question is why would I play Enshrouded instead of Ark?
It's more fun. I think so, at least.
Well, and I'll answer that question, Matt. Without really playing either game, it's real easy. Some people like red cars, some people like blue ones. So it's a different seat for a different ass. And it's like, why do people play sorcery instead of magic?
I like the base building a lot more in Enshrouded. It functions really well. I don't know.
Seems like a lot of games are trying to capture on that whole thing, including what was that one that was hot for a second? The Pokemon ripoff?
Pal World.
Pal World. It's like it's almost like WotC. Like the game designer space is trying to hit that same button rather than innovating.
Yeah, I just don't. So far, I mean, I'm watching gameplay as we're talking. I just don't see anything innovative about this.
Lots of samesies.
Yeah, it's just slightly different art style. If, in my opinion,
and I think
less,
that's what we ran into with
Ark.
World of Warcraft. Why we haven't seen a really dominant MMO come out. I would say the biggest contender would be Final Fantasy.
I like the fast travel.
I would say that Final Fantasy relies heavily on the anime crowd. They do some weird social shit in that game. Woo. Like I don't know if you're aware of it. Like Sherry has brought to my attention some what is to me a little disturbing of like nightclub activities and innuendo and just I'm like, okay, there's
in what?
that.
In Final Fantasy?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a whole how do I sum this up? Furry lifestyle, I guess you could say.
Interesting.
It's a there are some down the rabbit hole shit in that game.
They put a lot of play in the cosplay.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So that is also I'm trying to look at the reasons why Final Fantasy is different than World of Warcraft, but the functional model is the same for MMOs, right? So something else has to change, some innovation, in order to progress, I guess, in that sort of space, because it looks like what you're talking about, Matt, and I've noticed from watching video game reviews out there. I try to. Watching video game reviews, watching movie reviews. Let us know in the audience if you have any desire to hear the three assholes on this chat opinion about movies and shows coming up. And I do have one more thing before we go to the member-only portion of the night, which is coming up in about 15 minutes here. So gonna shill for our 10 seconds like we always do, hour and plus deep into the night. We have a member-only video. Like, they tell you to do it like in the first 6 seconds. We get to it like, we'll get to it in an hour and a half from now. Remember, we do have a weekly member-only content that happens right after this show for at least 30 minutes. We generally go longer, depending on who shows up and what we're talking about. But if you want to be part of that, you can join it for as little as what's the minimum? $1.99 a month?
Yeah, I think it's 99 cents plus taxes, depending.
I mean, you can avoid a lot of the bots.
7 cents.
That kind of stuff. So, and we try to address your questions more directly and faster, and it's a little more intimate. We talk a little more unfiltered.
We use the word member just as much, though.
Oh yeah, it's our members are unfiltered on that show, baby. But if you want to hear us talk about like movie reviews, that's something we've been tossing around, and we can get into that a little bit more in the after show. But this has been a big week for releases. I don't think that's a
no, Coach.
thing
We're not doing that. No. And that's specifically because we're going to keep offering you better and better content, and lock it in at $1.07. That's too good, man. We can't allow that. This ain't Sam's Club. Get out of here.
But speaking of that, movie reviews, we'll get into it a little bit here. There was a big popular release that ties into Magic, by the way, and video gaming.
Beetlejuice.
So it kind of spans TCGs. What can you think of? What title spans a TCG, video games, or we'll say Magic? What spans Magic, video games, and visual media, meaning like movies or series?
Probably something Marvel.
No.
Ooh, I think
does.
something
You're right,
more magical, maybe even something more arcane than that.
Amen, brother. Who has caught up already beyond the Jake Paul Tyson fight, watching stuff online, with the Arcane series that season 2 came out this week? Who has watched it?
I haven't watched it yet, but I plan to. I
still haven't seen the first one.
It was good.
It's still one of the best animes I've ever watched.
Hey, what up, Isabel?
Excellent anime. I don't watch a lot of anime, but I watched Arcane. I really didn't play much League of Legends, and I definitely didn't even know there was lore to it. But they did an excellent job. It's a standalone, just great to watch season 1. But you haven't watched any of season 2? I don't know how much spoiler we want to get into, so I'll try to cover.
Don't spoil it. Don't spoil anything. I haven't watched any of it.
It's too new, so I don't want to spoil it too much, but I do want to make people aware that season 2 just came out. The release schedule seems to be 3 episodes a week for 3 weeks. So something very odd there with the pacing. I don't like the fact, Sherry and I talked about it when we started watching episode 1, something we ran into, and it's not just a problem with Arcane. It's a problem with a lot of shows out there right now. And that's they come out with their season 1, even though they're really short, which I hate. My brother pointed it out. I hate watching just like 6 or 8 episodes or something, and then like, what?
Oh, dude, Fallout. I cannot. I binge watched that. I think I saw the entire season in one day, and was like, okay,
then you feel empty.
Yeah, when season 2 going to come out? They have no idea. Like,
well, that touches on the second problem.
Chainsaw Man's the same way.
It's not only very, very short. as far as like the span that they cover. Only, rather than back in the day when you would get 22 hours. We'll get to that in a minute about the Lord of the Rings. Coach, I saw a little bit about that, so I don't know a lot. Maybe Pat or Matt knows more about it. But with these shortened, the model now tends to be that they put out like 6 or 8 1 hour, which means like really 40 to 50 something minutes, an episode. Then it has the problem that you alluded to, Pat, where it's 2 years or more until the next season comes out. Then when you watch season 2 or whatever the next season is, and you're watching episode 1, you're a bit lost, and you don't want to have to go back and rewatch it because you've already watched it.
Right.
So you're a little lost. The last time on, the recaps are insufficient to get you back into the groove. In essence, they lose their groove, right? It means that they're into a swing, they got the hype, and they let it cool off for far too long, and then people, it doesn't have the same grab when you're catching up on it.
Yeah, getting people back into a show is probably more difficult than getting people into a show for the first time.
So I don't know.
I just watched a little bit of the Lord of the Rings trailer. Yeah, it looks interesting. It is very similar to the art style in Vinland Saga. I cannot imagine Lord of the Rings will hold up to the bloodthirsty and gory nature of Vinland Saga, but very attractive looking. Yeah, that's
another anime I couldn't get into is Vinland Saga.
It's a slow start. Yeah, if you watch that at like 1.25 speed or 1.5, it definitely picks up. There's a lot of shows I've been doing that with. I watched both Marvel's Age of Ultron and Infinity War in like 3 hours. Just there's a lot of boring parts in it. Like you can just watch it at super fast speeds.
Yeah, Jujutsu Kaisen is another anime that I was told that I would like.
It's so good.
Haven't seen that one yet.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see the Arcane, but I'm waiting. I want to watch it all at once, so I'm just waiting for all the episodes to be out.
Yeah, Jujutsu Kaisen.
I still need to do Fallout.
Phenomenal. It is super gross. Like, be careful. Like, it's going to be some body horror kind of stuff.
About body horror?
Yeah.
That kind of stuff doesn't really appeal to me. Castlevania's about my limit. I don't know if anybody ever caught the Castlevania anime.
Yeah, big fan.
Yeah, very good.
It danced that line. It was close. Yeah. It was close to being more blood and guts porn than an actual good watchable show. But it was pretty good.
That's one of the things, like, people calling
I'm not sure, Coach.
Arcane anime is like a fine line for me. I understand that it was made in Japan and that it's animated, but it is not what I consider like 2D animation. I
call anything that's cartoonish anime. So
it's its own beast, but it's still an excellent show.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm not knocking it. I'm just thinking about like the blood, guts, gore stuff.
No, there is none really. Not.
Yeah,
it's like they do weird stuff, almost like that show that you tried to have me watch, where it's more
Scavenger's Reign. Yeah, you were not into that. Yeah. I like how you gave it a solid try. Like 5 or 10 minutes in, you're like, you pause and you're like, I'll be honest, not feeling it. Let's keep going for a little bit. Then we did. And then we got to halfway through an episode, and I was like, this is what it's going to be for the entire series. You're like, let's stop now then.
It wasn't for me.
It was.
People might think I'm a little closed-minded, but I genuinely try to give things a shot. I'm not contrarian, but I don't follow the crowd. It's not like I'm against the crowd. I just do my own thing. And oftentimes I'm with the crowd. I think Arcane was supremely popular. Speaking about Arcane, though, getting back to that, the last point that I had to bring up here for the show that's not too much spoiler-esque, it is the final season.
Yeah,
we were trying to find that
a while ago, which makes no sense. They said it's that, but then they said they were doing other things as well, which kind of makes no sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a sort of transitional phase, if you want to say, in Hollywood and the movie/series industries. There's a lot of growing pain with the growing technology. Right?
I don't
And
understand why they're only doing 2 seasons. It's super popular. Like, I don't get it.
I think they may have run out of creative juice.
Maybe. The
I think
first
you'll
one was like I said, I swear, it is like one of the best animes I've ever seen. Like, it is in top 3, easy.
I will say my rating on the first 3 episodes compared to last season is not as high.
Dun, dun, dun.
Not going to say why. Watch the show to give your opinion. And, you can come back here next week and tell me to stuff it in my ear hole. But, go out there, watch it. If you haven't caught it yet, Arcane Season 1.
I love this card I came across. It's the German version of Hedgehog.
Oh, the Heckin Labyrinth.
The Heckin Labyrinth. It's is das Heckin Labyrinth kommen get tapped ins Spiel. I don't know. I love it. I love everything about it.
When das Heckin Labyrinth in Spiel kommt, when Überwachen an.
Überwachen one on. I wonder if
Überwachen. You got to watch out for that Überwachen. That thing will get you.
Not to be confused with the Jabberwocky. The Uberwalking, very different.
But
I want this card now.
There are lots of shows to catch up on. The problem is, we're playing musical chairs a lot. In my opinion, the seasons are too short, and the lapse between the seasons is too long. I don't think there's enough to really hook people. So
Chainsaw Man's the same way.
almost
Chainsaw
one and
Man
done.
came out. Is pretty good, but it's not even. They haven't even started on the season 2 of Chainsaw Man, and it's been years.
Yeah, and that definitely there's.
Why even bother coming out as an anime if you're not even gonna? It's
That's
so
what
crazy.
blows me away is how many killer anime just stopped after 1 season. Well, let's talk about Firefly in another episode.
Right. Well, and in another episode, did you ever finish up watching? Messiah season 1?
Yeah,
because it's only 1 season.
Yep. I kind of like how it ended.
So you watched it all?
Yeah, for sure.
So would you? All right, because it's very difficult to almost even describe appropriately. Do you recommend it as a watch to people? Did you feel it was quality?
Nah, it was good, but I wouldn't recommend it to people.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's not well, okay.
Hot garbage is what he's trying to say.
No, it's not the type of show I would normally watch. Psychological thrillers, kind of whodunit mysteries aren't really my thing. If you are into that type of a cinema experience, definitely for people. It's got a lot of mystery to it. I mostly just wanted to see somebody with Jesus powers blowing stuff up, and unfortunately on that aspect cannot recommend. There was not enough hellfire, tornadoes. Nobody turned into a frog or anything.
But that's part of the allure. Was it real or not? Was he legit or not?
Especially with how it ends. I think he's magic.
Right? That's what I was. But the whole show is like that. You're like, nah, he's not.
The boring
he's a
kind of
scam
magic,
artist.
like Gandalf. Honestly, Lord of the Rings has some of the most boring magic ever, and that's one of the things that was I was really worried about getting into D&D because Lord of the Rings magic is super boring. But then you read some of the other Forgotten Realms novels, and everybody's got a magic sword that will cut through anything, like a shield that makes everybody invisible or some powerful shit. Yeah, Messiah, I'd give it a 6. It was fine.
But I want to know your take. Was he or wasn't he?
Nah, that guy was a plant. He might have been magic.
How did he survive the crash?
Very carefully.
Yeah, he might have been a bit magic, but I don't think he was coming in right.
So there we have it again. What about the walk on water?
People do that stuff. I watch more interesting David Blaine stuff.
Chris Angel did that, didn't he?
Yeah, Chris Angel regular flew.
Yeah, but with a lot of setup. You're talking about one single dude just running around out there doing all these things. What about the tornado, surviving it while it's on top of him? surviving a plane crash.
Yeah, but
How
so
is he
did
in
the
all these
like,
places?
so did the girl that with the seizures. Like she survived it too. Hey, all I gotta say is if you want to know more, you'll have to become a member because unfortunately, this is all the
Oh,
free
it's
content
that time. So,
Yeah.
anyways, the thing I want to ask the general audience is: do you enjoy our assessment, us talking about and bringing up TV shows, just to broaden even beyond cardboard conversations and digital gaming and physical gaming? Do you enjoy our take? Let us know in the comments, live here or afterwards if you're watching this. Do you enjoy our back and forth about shows that are out there? And we tend to focus on geekier shows, so hopefully it's in the vein more of the folks that are our target audience, because we're not one-dimensional, and YouTube likes to punish us for that. So let them punish us more if you want to see more different content.
Well, until next time, we've been Cardboard Odysseys, and you've been awesome. Take care, y'all.
Catch the members in a minute.
We gotta give them the link. Did you give them the